It is almost every day that you might get advice from people to not waste time. You might hear quotes like time is money, lost time never comes back, etc. Ever wondered how would our lives turn out to be if there was nothing to keep track of time or if there were no clocks? I know many of you would think why would we need clocks because as it is we're late for our lectures, but then you need clocks to decide how late you're actually going to be. So in this presentation we would explain how clocks actually keep track of time. This is an effort made by Rahul Agarwal, Bandish Parekh, and Atul Yadav. Hope you understand it. Hey Rahul, do you know how the earliest clock sundials worked?
Yeah, the shadow of a thin object was used as the hand of a clock, and as the sun moved, the shadow would rotate and hence depict time. But I wonder, how difficult would it become to keep track of time at night?
Yeah, and that's why mechanical clocks were invented. Do you know how they work?
A little bit. I know mechanical clocks somehow use the concept that a pendulum has a constant time period to regulate time.
You're on the right track. Wait, I'll explain a bit more. In a clock, the pendulum's job is to regulate the speed of the gears. The gears count the number of seconds that pass and convert them into minutes and hours, displayed on the hands that sweep around the clock face.
But I heard that mechanical clocks are obsolete now. Why is it so?
The trouble with the pendulum clocks is that you have to remember to wind them. Another difficulty with pendulum clocks is that they depend on the force of gravity, which varies very slightly from place to place. Pendulums also change length as the temperature changes, which makes them less accurate again. Quartz watches solve all these problems.
Oh, this sounds interesting. Can you explain the working of quartz clock?
They are battery powered and they often last several years. They are also much more accurate than pendulum clocks. Instead of a pendulum, they use a tiny crystal of quartz that's made from silicon dioxide. Perhaps the most interesting thing about quartz is that it's piezoelectric. That means if you squeeze a quartz crystal, it generates a tiny electric current. The opposite is also true. In theory, it works like this. Battery provides current to the microchip circuit. Microchip circuit makes quartz crystal oscillate 32,768 times per second. Microchip circuit detects the crystal's oscillations and turns them into regular electric pulses, 1 per second. Electric pulses drive miniature electric stepping motor. This converts electrical energy into mechanical power. Electric stepping motor turns gears. Gears sweep hands around the clock face to keep time. This is the inside of a clock. PS. Do not try this at home.
It's only yesterday that I noticed my clock showing the wrong time. Can you explain it?
Quartz vibrates at a slightly different frequency at different temperatures and pressures, so its timekeeping ability is affected to a tiny degree by warming, cooling, and the ever changing world around us. Even if the quartz crystal could vibrate at a perfectly constant frequency, the way it's mounted in its circuit, tiny imperfections in the gearing or friction can also introduce minute errors in the timekeeping. Well, I think it's time for us to leave. Adios, until the next assignment.